Hello, hello. Happy Friday. Welcome to another episode of Cosplay Cafe, where we are serving up a hot, steaming cup of cosplay. We will bring out our special guests soon, but first, enjoy these ads.
I've been a superhero for a long time. It used to be so simple. You catch the bad guys, do the right thing, save the world. Then I met Aiden, and things got complicated.
Iris recruited me as a kid and turned me into their own personal weapon. I couldn't see any way out until I met Marty. But now we're going to burn their entire organization down if we can.
Forces of Nature, books 1 and 2, Scorcher and Thin Ice are available now wherever books are sold online. See www.kellyguentner.com.
Pokeballs by Crayley is your one-stop shop for handmade magical creations that celebrate all the Pokemon universe has to offer. Available on CrayleyVanest.com, that's CrayleyVanest.com, and possibly coming to a con near you.
All right, so we have two lovely ladies who I'm going to be sharing the screen with, and they are two icons of the cosplay world. You all are not going to be able to handle this. So my co-host, Andrea Starnes, who is just incredible. And I have not been able to share an episode with her for a while because we've both been busy and going through stuff. So Andrea, welcome to the stage. You look amazing. I love your Captain Carter dress.
Thank you. I figured with our guest, since I could not find the rest of my 10th Doctor costume, that was going to be the joke that the doctors were in for the psychology. And he's always like, not that kind of doctor. I was like, with our guest, a vintage vibe is probably one of the best ways to go. So here we are. I'm trying to have a little positivity after a lot of very, very rough negativity in the last few months. So
send Andrea all the positive vibes you've got.
Yeah, I've had, the good part was, since I have been on, my mom has gotten the all clear on her cancer, no cancer. But unfortunately, I got that news right at the same time I had to have my 29-year-old horse put down. So, best part, mom is cancer free. Worst part is I lost my best friend that I've had for 29 years. So, but we're getting up there, and next weekend I have a nephew getting married, and the following weekend the little nephew turns 3. So I'm really busy.
It's a circle of life, people.
It's a lot. It's a lot happening, but we're making it through. So here we are.
What's funny, Andrea, is you must be in my head because I almost suggested you wear that dress. That's literally when you were saying you might not be wearing a costume. I was like, you should wear the Peggy dress. You should wear the Peggy dress. But I didn't suggest it because I didn't want you to stress out looking for it.
Oh no, it was right where all the other stuff that I was digging through was. So no, it's that Phoenix connection that we all have. So here we are.
Sorry about the migraines, y'all.
If you're a Phoenix brain with us, we do apologize.
Oh, yeah. So now to our guest. It's been a while since she's been on, and we were all super excited.
This is my girl crush, and I want to be this person when I grow up, and I tell her this every time I see her.
So we have D'Elle Memphis back. If you all have not experienced an episode with D'Elle Memphis, you are in for a treat. She is incredibly talented. She is a gorgeous human being inside and out, and we love her. And I'm really excited about this topic because we're going to talk about the psychology behind cosplay and cosplayers, which I'm fascinated by psychology anyways. So let's get into this. So welcome D'Elle. You look stunning as always.
Thank you. You ladies do too. You talk about girl crushes, and honestly, by the way, this is not a cigarette because I don't smoke. But I'm like, this is my Marla Singer lick, and I have to have a cigarette. But okay. But honestly, you guys are 100% my girl crush. I think I have said this over and over. Even in former podcast lives, where we were talking about, oh my God, I cannot believe that I'm actually interacting with you because it's like, I followed you. I have been a big fan of yours for so long, and now I get to interact with you. And it's like, you guys are the nicest, coolest people I have ever met outside of my own co-hostesses. And, Magda and Lauren are always going to be near and dear to my heart. And I know that they love you just as much as I do.
Oh yes,
And we love
the
them
Con
so much.
family.
My
And we're
Con
having
family.
Con
Lauren
family.
next
Yes.
episode. So like Ice Cream Queen September.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Here for it.
Absolutely.
The perfect, September is the start of spooky season, so why not start with the ice cream queens?
Right.
And most people lean into us because we are the creep factor. We have all of the horror, we have all of the creepy cosplays, we have all of the experience at horror cons and events and stuff like that. But I love coming in and talking about something just a little bit different from our normal traditional topic. And psychology, oh my gosh, yeah.
But it's funny because like everybody knows y'all for being like the goth girls, whereas you're more traditional goth. Lauren's very much the colorful goth.
Yes.
But also you're like the kindest people, and most people think goths are at least at least standoffish, or you think the horror people are all these like dark, broody people. And I have spent time with you guys in and out of convention scenes, and that is not the case. There is just so much happiness in watching you with like your grandkids, and Lauren with Goose. And it's also hilarious that, her little 6-year-old is like the biggest horror fan in the whole world. So
absolutely. Absolutely. And, we have so much fun, and a lot of things that people don't think about, especially with, when they see us and they start watching our show and they hear us talking about all these different topics, that, we're goofy. Lauren and I, we get together and we are nothing but pure like goofy energy, and we bounce off the walls, and so it's like we don't have the traditional, what most people associate with being goth. We have the aesthetic, but we don't necessarily have the traditional goth personality.
Yeah, like we have comments over there, like people are saying goths, that's like the misconception, which is true. Most people think goths are, I guess, because, media plays them up to be the dark, brooding people. But most of the people I know in the goth community are really the nicest, friendliest, usually the bubbliest, happiest people. They just like to look like a Victorian ghost, basically.
I feel like goth people
or something of that nature. All of our aesthetics.
They like
Oh,
to
I'm sorry, Kelly, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say they're outsiders. And they get what it's like being an outsider, so they're usually pretty welcoming. But let's catch up on the comments real quick. So Maverick Lael, my friend James, says, "Hello, friends." Hi, James. James is awesome. You two would love him. He's great. He is the way I describe him to people who don't know him. Crayley and I had this dream to do a siren shoot and basically terrorize a pirate. And I just sent James a message. I was like, "Hey, can we pretend to drown you for a shoot?" And he's like, "Sure, what am I wearing?" And that's the type of, he's the best. And Skylar Productions, Willow says, "Evening, folks." Hey, Willow.
Hello.
Long time no see.
Maverick is saying goth is a subgenre in itself, and sometimes people would create an entire hybrid of their own creation, which, goths are super creative.
Where do you think we get like the pastel goth? And, I loved when people were like talking about doing like, they're like, we need to do this like country music goth and call it cow goth. People are like, you mean the Johnny Cash fandom? You're like, yeah.
Accurate. And Willow also is weighing in saying goths are beautiful people who are fun to have conversations with. Like, yes.
Yes,
absolutely.
we are.
Agreed.
Yes, we are. And one of the things I would love to point out, so in probably about 2 weeks, I'm going to Camp Dreadwood again. And if you haven't done this event, it is Western themed. It is very horror centric. There's a whole lot of goth that's kind of mixed into it. So if you are, because I noticed that you mentioned the Western goth thing, and that's actually part of one of my vibes. Because I kind of lean into that a little bit heavy from time to time, but oh my gosh, this is such a fun event, and it is all kinds of creepy and all kinds of camping and all kinds of fun.
That kind of makes me think when I was in high school, because I definitely had, the high school goth phase, but I was the horse girl. So I had the horse goth thing happening.
That tracks. And
But,
you and Crayley both went through a goth phase. I did not go through a goth phase in high school, which I feel like was a missed opportunity on my part.
Yeah, I was the all black, and because the Craft came out right as I was getting into high school, so everybody wanted to be the girls from the Craft, and we wore the little mini skirts and all the black, and we all had.
How have we all not done a Craft costume group? Like what?
Well, I'm a little bit old for the Craft costume and stuff. I'm like schoolgirl skirts might be, I don't know.
None of us on this screen have been in high school for a little while.
Some of us are grandparents.
Well, I have
still blows my mind, D'Elle. Like, not gonna lie.
No. Oh no, I have shown people pictures like from events and stuff, and I tell them, I'm like, they'll compliment you, D'Elle. And I'm like,
gosh.
she's got they're like, she's got grandkids. They're like, there is no way. And I've had so many of like my coworkers when they see pictures of us from conventions or hanging out, and they're like, you are just described as being absolutely beautiful by most of them.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Thank you.
I'm like, yeah, I get to be like, yeah, that's my friend. Okay. I know her.
So I'm going to throw out one of those ice cream queen isms. We have a topic.
We do.
We do.
We do have a topic.
Yes. So let's talk about this. Yes, please. D'Elle, I'm gonna let you.
She
start.
also, real quick, she told us we don't have to show all of her pictures. She realized she sent us a bunch, but I told her we would pop them up as she talks about them.
Absolutely.
Because we didn't do since we're talking psychology,
yes.
we're not doing viewer submissions this week. We will get back to viewer submissions, guys, but we wanted to talk about a little bit different topic this time. So we have plenty of things if we want to pop them up on screen to share.
Andrea, do you want to run the pictures? I'll run the comments. Yes.
Although I am kind of sad that you guys didn't get viewer submissions, because although we're talking about psychology, there is such a huge movement now, not only in cosplay, but also in movies where you are starting to see mental health being addressed.
Yes. Very true.
I was so happy watching the Thunderbolts recently and realizing how much they were talking about depression and mental illness, and oh my gosh, that was such a
and it wasn't played
movie.
For laughs. Your mental health wasn't played for laughs.
Well,
it was actually addressed as a health issue.
Absolutely. The conversations between Red Guardian and Yelena just broke my heart. So, I mean,
I sat in the theater with our friend Jordan just crying. We literally the day before we got back from Disneyland, and she's like, you want to go see Thunderbolts? And I'm like, yes, let's. We're both exhausted. Let's go watch a movie. And we came out of that movie just like, wow, they really went there with it. And it was great.
And not just every character was dealing with some type of personal trauma, some type of personal issue that they were having to overcome. I mean, every single character. And that was so powerful, especially realizing that a lot of us in the cosplay industry and the cosplay circuit who lean so heavily into these characters deal with a lot of that ourselves. And I think that is a topic that a lot of times is not discussed. Now, when I talked about, when I introduced the idea, let's talk about psychology and cosplay. I love that you guys kept saying, we are not doctors, because my aspect, when I start thinking about psychology and cosplay, is from a non-medical aspect. Because when you think about psychology, and you know that there is the medical and clinical aspects of it, but there are also other aspects of psychology that come into play. So in my line of work, I have been in HR, I have dealt with hiring. I deal with a lot of almost psychological evaluation of candidates who are coming in to interview with us. And I have to not necessarily profile them, but I have to not only assess their work skills, but also sometimes assess their personalities, issues that they might present during interviews and just interactions with us and determine whether or not they're going to be a good fit. And there are a lot of industries in which we don't think about having the psychology, the non-medical psychology aspect of. So when you think about that, and by the way, I'm looking at notes, so just so you know,
I
this
love
is
it.
not all at the top of my head, but forensic psychology, you have aviation psychology, educational psychology, human resources psychology. There are so consumer. I mean, when you think about marketing,
Oh, I deal with that one.
Oh, absolutely.
Mhm.
So there are so many areas of psychology when it comes to dealing with emotions, the way people present themselves and interact. Now, cons and conventions and cosplayers are a whole nother level of psychology. And there are so many non-medical aspects when you start looking into cosplay and cosplayers specifically. And one of the ones that I would really like to just kind of jump into and talk about is the, bear with me, it is the enclothed cognition. So basically, the way we dress sometimes represents who we want to be. It represents mood, it represents power. I mean, when you think about, we get ready to go to work, we have that powerful business meeting, we're going to be in front of fundraisers, so we put on the suit, the power suit, and we know that the suit equals power, we know the suit equals professional. We see a lab coat, the first thing that we think is either this person is medical or this person is in a technical field that is dealing with chemical. So we do see that. So with that said, I think that when we start talking about cosplay in general, we have to talk about the enclothed cognition, but we also have to talk about dopamine and dopamine dressing.
Yes.
And that is a topic that I absolutely love to discuss because it not only leans into my cosplay aspect, but it also is part of my everyday wardrobe. So I'm going to interview you guys just as much as y'all are interviewing me. So I would love to ask, when you initially put on that first costume, in that first cosplay, and you stepped out, I know there was fear. I know there was stress. I know there was anxiety. Myself, I stepped out of my car. Actually, that's a lie. I didn't even get out of the car. I sat in the car with Geek Gumshoe, and I'm sitting there going, I'm not getting out until I see somebody else in cosplay. I'm like, if they're not in costume, this was a major con. This was like Wizard World in New Orleans. I'm like, if I don't see somebody in a cosplay, I'm not getting out of the damn car. And he's like, you're going to get out of the car. I'm like, I'm not getting out of the car. But there is that whole stress and anxiety that goes alongside that. But the response and the interaction. So I would love to hear, Andrea and Kelly, what was your first experience like? And what is it that caused you to say, I want to do this? I love the response.
Oh, I know this one off the cuff from the very beginning. Like as soon as you said your first experience, I was like, I had the whole thing. I've talked about it before. I did Padme Amidala in the battle outfits that she and the Handmaidens wore at the end of Phantom Menace. And we went to the Star Wars Celebration 2002. Of course, we've been playing dress up our whole lives. Cosplay had never been a thing, though. We'd only been to 2 conventions before this, and they were Wizard World in Chicago. But this was Star Wars Celebration. It was the last day of the convention. My convention or my cosplay anniversary is May the 5th. So Revenge of the 5th is my cosplay anniversary, first with a Star Wars costume.
That's perfect.
But I was really freaked out. Did I just freeze up? I can't tell. My screen was freezing. Sorry. But I remember being so paranoid stepping out, even though I had watched one of my brothers wear their costume the day before and seen all the costumes. And, I'm 19, never done this before, and full of anxiety anyway, all of the neurodivergent stuff that I realize now that I have that I didn't know back then. And I'm thinking, what if people don't like what I made? Mom helped me make it. What if they don't like this costume? What if they think it looks bad? It's not a good representation of this character. I got nothing but positive, other girls in the same costume wanting to do pictures. But what cemented me going, this is what I'm doing for the rest of my life, and you will have to pry it from my cold, dead hands, is I was getting sick. Like, I did not realize I was getting sick at this con. And this little girl, couldn't have been more than 4 or 5, ran up to me, dragging her mom, going, "I want to take my picture with the queen." And that did it. That was it. I'm like, I'm doing this from now on. I'm like, Mom, I want to learn more sewing techniques. I want to learn to do this. And I just kind of ran with it. So this little kid validated me, because, the little kids, they don't care if you're screen accurate. They don't care if you are the exact same body type, skin color, whatever. She saw me. She wanted a picture because she knew the character, and that did it. I'm like, that's it. This is it. That gave me that rush and said, I'm going to continue doing this.
I love
We are
that.
23 years
I
later.
do too. I know. Kelly, so tell me a little bit about your experience and what was your first time? What was your first time like?
So, I had no
Cosplay.
fear. Yeah, let's stick to cosplay.
We're not that kind of show, guys.
Not that kind of show. For that, you need to go to Patreon.com. No, not even on my
That's
Patreon.
still only like PG-13. We don't go too far there.
Yeah, we don't. So actually, I had no fear because I had gone to it was a Superman celebration, an outdoor con, and if you've never been to Metropolis, Illinois, the whole downtown is basically filled with Superman memorabilia. So you feel like you're inside a comic book. It's amazing. So I went to this con. I had no idea cosplay at cons was a thing. I brought a costume for the costume contest, but it was way too hot to wear during the day because it was June in Southern Illinois. It's like literally,
Yeah.
James says for a second, I thought I had the wrong podcast. No, you're safe, James. You're safe. But literally on the border with Kentucky. It was hot.
Yeah, it's hot.
So, so I'm walking down the streets and I see someone in costume when it wasn't even the day the cosplay contest was going to be. And I was like, I need to leave right now and put together a quick costume because I want to do that. So I had no fear coming back. It was a swimsuit, fishnets I had gotten at Hot Topic. I already had the black boots. It was Black Canary, obviously.
Yes.
And a Hannah Montana wig because that's what time it was. I was in my mid-20s. I had no fear. Stepped out and I was like, let's do this. Like, that looked fun. The guy, my friend Robin Johnson, ISU Superman, he's amazing, super talented. His costumes were way better. Or the costume I saw him in was way, way better than what I was wearing. But I walked down this street and I can't get more than like 5 feet without people stopping me for pictures. Every 5 feet, little kids coming up and asking for autographs as my character. It was amazing. It was just the best experience. And I was like, honestly, I was a weird kid in a small town filled with farm kids, and I was never a farm kid. Like, I know, Andrea, you were a horse girl. I love horses, but that's it. Like, not a farm kid. And I was a weird kid, and I was a little I did not fit in. So I never fit in anywhere. And all of a sudden, I found a place where I could have conversations with people. Like, the people growing up in my town did not like geeky stuff. And then when I went to college, I was hiding that I was always hiding that I liked geeky stuff until I met my husband. He's like, why are you hiding that? Something you like. Like, it's stupid that you're hiding. And so then I find this whole town filled with people, some of them in costume, which I love. All of them want to talk to me about comics and superheroes, and they all know about this stuff that I love. And I'm like, wow, I belong. And also, I love being in costume. Being in costume is pretty awesome. I've always loved dressing up. So I was like, yep, this is my thing for the rest of my life, I guess. On the way home, I'm planning the next year's costumes.
And then you decided to start a cosplay podcast. So apparently it is going to be part of your life.
Like over 10 years later. Well, and so here's a funny story. I have to tell this because this year I'm going to Fan Expo. I step out of my house and we're on like this little cul-de-sac in a small town. So still quite fitted. I am in black leather leggings and a black corset and it's like 90 degrees and it's hot. And my neighbors apparently are not used to me stepping out in costume yet. They're looking at me like, what is this crazy 40-something-year-old lady doing? And I had a flashback to 10 years ago. I was in an entirely different town. It was a suburb of Milwaukee, stepping out in almost the exact same outfit, only I had a blonde wig. It was a different character. And my neighbors looking at me like I was crazy. I was like, I'm going to be doing this every 10 years and freaking out a different set of neighbors. I'm going to be like 80 years old, stepping out in my black leather leggings and corset. And my neighbors could be like, what is this crazy 80-year-old doing in 90
Having
degree
the
weather?
time of her life. That's
Having the
what you'll
time
be
of her
doing.
life until
Absolutely.
at 80, I will pass out from heat stroke. I guarantee you. And then they'll be like, someone call the ambulance because that crazy.
Don't worry, we'll probably be pushing each other in wheelchairs, so you'll just be sitting and have you some water. We'll be fine. Great.
Well, and like Thomas
I
said, that's
love-
because
Our
Okay, go
neighbors
ahead.
are never outside.
that's the only reason they haven't seen me in costume, because I have definitely left this house.
Oh, my
in this
neighbors
suit.
all know now. They just wait to see what weird thing I'm going to do next.
And it's
Well-
every weekend. It is absolutely every weekend. You're walking out of the house. I'm walking out of the house. And I know that my neighbors are sitting there looking at me going, what in God's name is this woman
Yep.
doing now? And 9 times out of 10, I look like this or I look like a witch.
Yep.
So, and then I'm also trying to
You're
feed
like a
crows
local
in my
cryptid.
front yard. Yeah, I'm the local cryptid of my neighborhood. Absolutely.
That is my goal, honestly. But yeah, like my husband said, my neighbors normally are and these neighbors across the street, it's a vacation home.
Oh gosh. Oh yeah.
So-
Okay.
They were just
Oh,
up
no.
for the weekend and they're like, what the hell?
One of my newer neighbors, they moved in a little over a year ago. Mom had met them, but they, with my work hours, I don't meet a lot of my neighbors unless it's a weekend. And so I did this little library con last year, full on Belle ball gown, because it's a convention in the library. You wear Belle. I mean, you just kind of have
Absolutely.
to. And I put that big old ball gown in my car and drove there and back. And I get out and they were having some people over and the neighbor lost her mind. Like, she was screaming, it's Belle. Oh my God. I live next door to Belle. And she was, because that's her favorite Disney movie. And she had literally been watching it the night before. She's like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, well, you've just met your weird neighbor. She goes, well, you've just met your weird neighbor. So now she was like, oh, she's the neighbor that dresses as my favorite Disney princess. This is awesome. So I was like, well, wait till Halloween. Then it gets really crazy around here. So,
Which is funny because actually Halloween is not a big costume thing for me.
my house, I dress my house up more than me.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's I do that. My first experience with a con, so I had actually gone to a con previously, and it might have been the exact same con, and I saw all the cosplay and I saw all the costumes, and being originally that creepy Halloween girl that, and I was creating elaborate Halloween costumes long before I started doing cosplay. So, a lot of the cosplays that I do now are versions of something that I have done in the past, especially when you start thinking about the horror characters. And I went to this con. I remember walking around seeing all these people in cosplay, and I'm like, I've been ripped off. Nobody told me this was a thing. And I so desperately wanted to do it. So I spent all of this time with my husband building a Wonder Woman costume, a Wonder Woman cosplay. And when I talk about Wonder Woman and the first cosplay I ever did, there's probably some in the photos, but I don't know that you have the very first one that I ever did. I built it out of leather and faux leather. So my first,
Is it the white one?
No, that's actually many moons
Okay, I
later.
don't know. I don't.
No,
know if
you
we
don't
have
have.
the-
I don't
we
think I
just have
sent
the white one.
Yeah, I don't think I sent
We
the
have-
original. Yes.
We have
That
this
was
one.
so stunning, though.
Oh, thank you. So this is actually my Queen Hippolyta. That is
Yeah.
a combination of the cartoon comic version, the comic book version, plus the vision that you saw of Connie Nielsen in the Wonder Woman movie. So there was kind of a collaboration It was basically an amalgamation of both of those characters.
Yeah.
But yeah, my first one was more of a gladiator. It was a gladiator skirt, but it was very short. I had gladiator boots on. I had greaves on top of the boots. I had arm greaves. I had like shoulder leather. So it's like my first attempt at cosplay. And although it was very primitive in the design and stuff like that, it was still leather. It was still armor. Although it wasn't like Warbler armor and all that kind of stuff, but it was still very intricate.
You did it on hard mode.
Yeah. I mean, I'm just like, I'm like, that's the one that I want. And how can I get this look? And, you know, it was just kind of one of those things where we learned very quickly about, you know, piecing together leather and building like a breastplate to go over it and all this other stuff. There was a cape with it, the whole 9 yards. I'm like, oh my God, what was I thinking? I think I was
Go big or go home.
Go big or go home. And they've gotten smaller ever since. Not gonna lie.
I sewed my first Wonder Woman skirt out of dyed cowhide leather.
Oh
Yeah, that's not fun.
So you cry a little bit inside when you take on a task like that. But to be honest with you, I looked at the costumes and the cosplays that I saw, and this is long before Gal Gadot and that, because I mean, I've been cosplaying now for about 20 some odd years. So this was long before Gal Gadot and that leather version of the gladiator version. So it's like, I'm not saying by any stretch of the imagination that I was the original, but you know, I was working and doing a gladiator warrior version of Wonder Woman long before the DCU popped up and put her in this role and created this version of her. I think I might have actually looked at the character from Smallville at the time and said, that's cool as hell. Yeah. And I wanted to do that. And then, of course, my brain's like, okay, so this is where I get into the dopamine aspect of cosplay. And I do this not only with cosplay, but I also do this with just general dressing. I am not always the person that is dopamine dressing for color because, yeah, 90% of my wardrobe is all black. I go to work. I everything that I do, I'm generally head to toe black. Very seldom do I wear color. And if I am wearing color, it is a little pop here and a little pop there. Every once in a blue moon, I might be in like bright blue or Barbie pink, but it is few and far between. Even my Barbie stuff is in black. So, I mean, I'm that person. So when I start looking at things that give me that dopamine rush, it's fabrication. So when I start looking at my personal wardrobe, I'm looking at things like velvets. I'm looking at things like silk and satins and brocades. And I don't mean velour. Those of us who are a little bit older know that there's a huge difference between velvet and velour.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I like real velvet. I love the way it feels. I love just the pure decadence. And when you can mix all of these things, you mix leather and velvet and silk together and brocade, and it becomes such a decadent fabrication. It could be all in the same color. It could be all in black. It is still super, super decadent. And that's how I was when I started working on this Wonder Woman cosplay. I'm like, I want leather. You know, if I can't get leather, I want faux leather. I want texture. Yes, it was red, white, and blue with hits of gold and all kinds of stuff, but it was very, very decadent in the fabrication.
Yes.
And it is something that I have not always been able to find following that particular, just because it was an expensive ass cosplay, as you can imagine. You build Wonder Woman out of leather. Oh my God, that is probably one of the most expensive outfits you can put together, even though there's not a whole lot to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it becomes very expensive very quickly. But I am very much into not necessarily just the coloring, but I want that fabric. I want the feel. I want the texture. I want the decadence of the fabric itself. and
Same.
yeah. And then when I step out on the floor and people, same type of experience that you were talking about. You take a step and someone talks and stops you. Can I get a photo? Take a step. Can I get a photo? Take a step. Can I get a photo? I'm like, at one point, you're just like camped out against the wall going, I'm going to stand here because I can't go anywhere. And it is such an amazing, reinforcing positive experience that first experience, you have that fabulous costume that you have built. You have developed skills. You have, not only are you developing your sewing skills, but you're also developing all these other skills. And now, in addition to that, you have people who are telling you that is amazing. You have people that are coming up to you that are veterans in the cosplay world that are like, oh my gosh, that is amazing. Tell me what you did. And you get all of this positive reinforcement. And so that is the experience that we as cosplayers, I think, chase the rest of our lives.
Yes.
We chase that high.
We do.
And I tell people, we don't 100% do this for the recognition, but if a cosplayer tells you they don't want someone to come up and tell them they look really cool or they look amazing or they look beautiful, they're probably lying to you. Because we want people to come up and take our pictures. We want that validation, even if we don't always say it. Because a lot of us that make them, we do put in so much time that we want somebody to recognize the work we did outside of a contest. Because a contest, you're putting yourself in there to be told that you are really awesome and win a prize. Whereas just on the con floor, you want that random stranger to come up and be excited that they saw a character that they love. And I don't care what age, little kid up to adult, if they're like, oh my God, you're my favorite character. That's what we really kind of want that.
I always laugh and say 6 to 60, depending, no matter what the age bracket is, if you're 8 to 80, 6 to 60, you're going to come up and you see somebody that you really admire and you enjoy, walk up to them and tell them, ask to get a photo with them. Absolutely.
Because this is like our friend V. You all know V. They have told, that's my baby. I love that kid. They've told me about my name being passed around in the Memphis community, like in a positive way, over and over and over again. And I'm like, this is all news to me. And they're like, you haven't heard this? I'm like, nobody tells me this. You're the first person to say this. And I remember we had a long conversation through text one night. Next thing I see them making a Facebook post, like, guys, if you're at a con and you see somebody that you really admire, tell them. Walk up and introduce yourself, because more than likely they're either just as shy or just as nervous as you are. And even though they've been in the community a long time and you think they get a lot of the compliments, they might not.
People get intimidated. People will be like, oh, they're cos famous. Are they though?
Babe,
or even if they are, they still want to hear that.
That's the thing. I was like, they were like, I'm like, I've done this for so long. And I guess they just assume I hear it enough that they don't need to tell me. I'm like, please tell me, because do you know how often I question myself on if I'm actually doing this for a good reason? If should I continue?
Well, and then there are people in the cosplay circuit, in the cosplay arena, that we see and we recognize as being pillars of the community. You recognize as being, when I say community, I'm talking about the cosplay community. You see people who are, as you mentioned, cosplay famous, and a lot of times there is the intimidation factor that goes alongside that. I mean, quite honestly, Andrea, I saw you at many cons. I never approached you because you were Andrea, and here I am, little old D'Elle, and
I'm thinking the exact same thing.
And it's funny because for me, when I go out into a con and I go to a convention and stuff, and I think that this kind of plays into another aspect of the psychology of cosplay, is that a lot of times we have imposter syndrome. We don't realize that there are people out there who look at us and say, oh my gosh, I would love to emulate what she's doing. I would love to be able to create like she does. And so there is an aspect of imposter syndrome where we're like, when are they going to figure out that I'm just like, this random everyday person, this regular Joe Blow, and there's nothing super special about me. And, so we kind of hide behind that. And sometimes it almost looks like we're unapproachable when we are just scared to step out of our safe zone.
I tell everybody I'm kind of like Black Widow in the Winter Soldier movie when she looks at Cap and goes, I only act like I know what I'm doing, Rogers. That's me most days, both in cosplay and in my regular life. Guys, I am pretending to be an adult that hasn't figured out, because I don't have anything figured out. And this cosplay thing, I have figured out a little more than adulthood, but not by much. It's really me just winging it.
Well, and, I absolutely love the fact, and I think that this is a good time to kind of lean into and talk to you a little bit about another reason that we as cosplayers gravitate to doing these type projects. I have found so many people that I like to consider my cosplay family, my con family. There are people that I travel with. And when I start to think about my husband actually did not start cosplaying until like the last couple of years. So during the first 20 years, I'm like, no joke, I'm like cosplaying with my kids. I'm cosplaying with my friends. I connected with Lauren very early on. And we were actually pirating as part of the pirate community together. And we were having a really good time. And the next thing I know, we keep running into each other at cons. And then we start realizing, oh my God, we share the same brain. And you might be my soulmate girlfriend. I don't know. Cause that's just kind of mine and her vibe and personality. But we started building cosplays that were designed to work with each other. And, and then my husband gets into it, because her husband's into it. My husband's into it now. He doesn't do a lot.
Some examples while you talk of
Absolutely.
some of these pairings.
So now, there are sometimes, this is Lauren and I and our different take on Velma and Daphne. We had like an entire Scooby-Doo. We were trying to go through for like a vintage retro, but also a little bit different. So that was kind of interesting and kind of fun. But yeah, we started building this entire community.
This is your other dynamic.
Dynamic. So this is her and I don't know what it is. There's whenever she and I are doing these cosplay photos together, either I am like between her legs, she's between my legs, I'm sitting on her, we're dancing together. I think we have dipped each other. I don't know.
It doesn't help that Brian Huff will do whatever we request.
Oh, absolutely. You throw out a concept and idea and he will jump all over it and help you come bring that vision to fruition. So and this was one of those things where we were sitting together, and this is my better half. This is my mister. But yeah, we had such a great time. We have put cosplays together. It's like I have been Morticia to Lauren's husband's Gomez, her daughter's Wednesday, and her as Pugsley. And it's hilarious when I think you were there. You were there for that one.
Covington last year.
Yeah, Covington. And, we were having such a great time. But, so it started out
It's all one big family.
Yeah, it started out with, my husband and I go into this, we're taking my kids, and the next thing I know, we're bringing Lauren and Wilson and, or Joey the Roadie. I'm sorry, I probably shouldn't say that, but Lauren and Joey, and we are, bringing Goose with us. And the next thing I know, we have connected with you guys, and it's just the con family keeps growing and growing and growing. And, some of the best memories that I have are being part of this enormous con family. And when I say enormous, our huge. Con family is huge. You have Huff and his wife, you have Jonathan McDaniel, the artist, and his wife and his kids. The entire family. You have us, you have Ebony. It is such a huge, huge community.
We got Carrie and Hunter and Lee and Chrissy and I'm naming a whole bunch of people y'all have seen on the show. But I mean, and it's crazy. And then Huff letting us do awkward con family photos is some of my best memories at any convention.
love those. I love
Those are
seeing
hilarious.
those.
Oh,
Those are
so
some of my favorites.
hilarious.
Look, I wished I was wearing my doctor because the last time I wore it, I have the photos of me in D'Elle's big red boots so that I could be taller than our friend Robin when she was dressed as Donna. Because we couldn't find anything for me to stand on. She goes, "You want to borrow my boots?" And I'm going, "This is a David Tennant thing. He would wear those boots." And so
And
there's
they
pictures
are
of
shiny red.
red patent leather, gorgeous,
I know.
giant heel. And there's pictures of me like holding the pant leg up and Robin is Donna pointing it at it. I'm like, yeah.
That is so amazing.
See, this is why we do it. This is one of the psychological things of our cosplay.
Absolutely.
When we all get together, it builds the community and it gives us an outlet for the weirdness that we can't always do in our everyday life, and just a lot of just letting go and just having fun and getting rid of some of those bad things for a day or two, just to be doing, the Bohemian Rhapsody cover or this worship.
It's group play. It's group play, and adults see that too.
For a weekend, for a couple of hours on a Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, we get to suspend reality. We get to de-stress, decompress. We get to get together with our con families. We are building our own communities. We are, and that's all part of it. Community is part of the reason why convention, because people think about conventions, and I have people who have never been before that ask me a lot about what is the environment like, and I'm like, well, it really depends on what your interests are, what con you're going to. But and one of the things that I tell people, I mean, first of all, if you are at all vaguely interested in cosplay and costuming, please take that step. Please, try it out and see if it's something that you would want to do. It has become a global phenomenon. As a matter of fact, I think that cosplay has almost surpassed the reason why people initially went to cons, for the fandom, for the collectibles, for the meet and greet and stars. And now, you have people who are going to cons just to be in costume and to suspend reality for a hot minute and become a character that they absolutely love, to meet like-minded people, to build a community, and to feel like they belong. Absolutely, that's a lot of it,
and always has been.
Absolutely.
When I was too broke to be buying all the stuff and seeing all the people, I could at least go on the trip, put on a costume, and have fun for a weekend.
Yes.
And here's the thing. There are those of us that we spend our time on the con floor. We don't go to panels. We like to go shop the vendor booths and stuff like that. But one of the things that I do stress to people when they are getting into conventions and they're thinking about cosplay is that cons are communal spaces. They are not meant to be shopping experiences. They are meant to be places where you can go find people that you can build your own community, find like-minded people, and also where you can go to learn and develop skills that you might not know that you had. If you would have told me 10 years ago that I would be not only leading panels, but hosting panels and presenting information as an expert in some cases, which I'm like, I'm an expert? What the hell? I'm like, yeah, you're wrong. Oh no. But, we are constant, I'm now at the point where I have multiple panels and I'm like, what do you want to talk about? Here you go. And, Lauren, myself, Geek Gumshoe, Wilson, we go to these events and we get to present information that we're interested in. And, that's a skill set. That's not just a skill set that I can use there. That's a skill set that has followed me into my professional life.
Right.
Absolutely. When you start thinking about, first of all, I'm going to put on some weird outfit. I'm going to go put myself out there for people to judge and troll and make opinions about and either love me or hate me one way or another. It doesn't matter. But I have stepped outside of my comfort zone, put on this bizarre outfit. And those of you who know me know that I don't shy away from skin tight, low cut. I mean, I don't care. I'm like, whatever it takes, whatever I want to do, I'm perfectly fine with it. And Lauren honestly is the same way. Lauren is, whatever she wants to wear, whatever makes her comfortable, whatever makes her happy. We have developed a comfort zone within those communities, and that comfort zone has followed us into our real lives. So now not only am I speaking at cons, but I'm also, I teach on a regular basis now. So that's just amazing. I teach professional development, which might throw people for a loop considering, I'm a cosplayer, and most people don't put those two together, but I have developed professional skills through cosplay and through conventions. And I think that that's absolutely amazing.
It's funny, you like watch the people that in their everyday lives are very quiet, shy, awkward around other people. They put on a costume, and because they're stepping into someone else's role, they become a whole other person. Sometimes it's a bit much. Sometimes you look at them and like, kind of need you to bring it down a few notches.
Especially the Deadpool cosplayers. Like, okay.
Yes. Okay. Deadpool cosplayers stress me out. They stress me out.
Honestly, Deadpool cosplayers are the whole reason that I was actually have a whole section on the psychopathy of cosplayers, because there are those people who put on that cosplay, they put on that mask, and they hide behind being anonymous. I was going to try to say, but I was just going to sound like Nemo going, but yeah, so I'm not going to do that. But you have those people who put on the Deadpool costumes, and Deadpool's not the only one, but that's the one that stands out.
It's the main one.
That is the main one that thinks that now, because they are hiding behind that character, that they can put their hands on you. They can interact with you in a way that they would never do before. There have been Deadpool cosplayers that I have been. There are some that I put my hands on them back and just shove them out of the way. There are some that I may have punched in the face. We're not going to talk about that because that's a lawsuit.
The funny thing is there's also the opposite of that, of the people that aren't in costume who think because you are that they can talk to you or do things. I remember being dressed as Stocking from Panty and Stocking with Garter Belt, and this was right after the series came to the U.S. I had. Not even going to talk about the gross things that were said to my friend and me while dressed as sisters and the questions they wanted us to pose for. No. But one guy literally walked up to me, and I know we usually don't use a whole lot of language on here, but he looked at me dressed as Stocking and goes, "Why are you such a bitch?" And I'm thinking, did I do something rude to this man? Did I cut him in line? Did I hit him with my wings and I didn't apologize? No, he was talking about the character from the end of the series. And I'm just like,
excuse
I'm
me?
over here like, whoa, hold on. I am not this character. You do realize she is a 2D animation and I'm a 3D person. Like, I mean, to walk up to a total stranger and feel like you can just look her dead in the eye and say that. That they also, that's one in the line with the whole cosplay is not consent. You have to watch how you say things and treat cosplayers because we are people.
Absolutely.
It's just a costume, guys. It's just a costume.
Yes.
There is a whole, and I've noticed it more so with, and I really hate to say this because I don't want to sound like that person, but I've noticed it to be predominantly male, and generally relatively younger men, because adult men, I think a lot of times do recognize that we are not that character, but you get those people who come to these events, they come to cons, and they don't realize, they cannot seem to separate you as a person from the character that you're wearing. Yes. And depending on the character that you're wearing, you may have some affect in the way that you're presenting yourself, the way that you're interacting with somebody. I actually do a lot of acting with different troupes. I am part of a Potter universe. I am part of a Wonderland universe. I have been part of the pirate community here locally. And when
Look, this is one that you definitely become. You become.
Yes.
Yes.
You're the only one
so,
besides Helena Bonham Carter. I'm just going to say that.
oh, thank you.
You look so much like her. Like,
You're the only one
seriously.
beside her.
As I am wearing one of my Helena Bonham Carter outfits now.
You just rock everything she does. It's fine.
Here's the funny thing.
Helena Bonham Carter.
I have been confused for Helena Bonham Carter. This is no joke. I'll get to that in just a second. But when you go into an environment where you become that character, sometimes there is the suspension of reality where people do not realize, oh my gosh, you are not actually Bellatrix Lestrange. Like the lady that is with me in that photo, that she is not Professor McGonagall. Duh. I'm having a moment. I'm like, Trelawney. No, that's my daughter. But you have, a lot of times we pick characters based on the actress that we love. A lot of the characters that I do are Helena Bonham Carter characters. I do the Red Queen or Queen of Hearts. I do. Here we go. 2 Helena Bonham Carter characters. No, my Red Queen is not her character, but there are some derivatives there. That is still a work in progress, but both of those are characters that I am part of an acting troupe, and it's Wolf River Collective, and we go out and we basically, you go out and it is acting. We do, we interact fully as that character the entire time we're there, and you have a blast. And I understand people might not be able to always separate you from that character, but if you come to me and I'm sitting at a table and we're talking about Ice Cream Queens, or we're talking about some project that we're associated with, and I'm not in character, I don't want always people to interact with me like I am that character. Because some of the characters that I have a tendency to portray might be a little bit cheeky, might be a little bit fun. But usually, I'm, Catwoman, I don't do her often, but I have done her in the past. And that is one where a lot of people think that they can put hands on and interact with you very inappropriately, which is interesting because, I think about the version that I do is Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman. Nobody would walk up and just go, put my hands on her. I'm like, no, she would rip you apart. Yeah, absolutely rip you apart. But there is that whole, I cannot separate the cosplayer from the costume, the cosplayer from the character. And that is something that we deal with. And I will, I said we were going to come back to something, and I can't remember what it was.
Oh,
now.
You being mistaken for Helena Bonham Carter.
Oh my God. Okay. So my husband was not in cosplay. I actually wasn't even, it's like I had my hair all piled up on top of my head. I had my regular glasses on. I go into, and it is not American Pickers, but it was like one of those type shows. There was a location based in Nashville, and I think it was something restoration. And it was a very well-known show. And when I walk into the shop, the shopkeeper is following me around to the point. I'm from Memphis, so hence the name D'Elle Memphis. I'm from Memphis. So, I'm used to, if somebody is following you around, they think that you're trying to shoplift.
Right.
And so this person is following me around, and I am noticing it, and I'm becoming very uncomfortable at this point. And this person is following me around. And finally, she gets close enough. I think we might have actually gotten items because I've gotten so uncomfortable at this point that I look at my husband, and I think my youngest child was with me at the time. And I'm like, I want to go. There's something weird going on. We get to the register, and the person who has been following me around at this point is like, oh my God, I thought you were Helena Bonham Carter. They usually call me and let me know when a celebrity's coming in town, but I could not tell that you were not her until you spoke with a Southern accent. I'm like, I don't look that much like her, but okay.
Oh my gosh.
You're like, I'll take the compliment.
I know. I mean, I absolutely adore her. So
Yeah.
she is my favorite actress, and I think that she is absolutely stunning. So I'm like, yes, I will take that. We came back to the same shop a year later, and the exact same thing happened again. She's like stalking me around, and finally I turn around and I'm like, I'm still not Helena Bonham Carter. And she starts
Still not.
cracking. I'm still not her. She is cracking up, and I'm like, this happened a year ago. My husband and I were sitting there talking about it, and I mean, it was probably one of the best, hilarious experiences now
love
after
that.
the fact. But yeah, so yeah, I have had. I'm like,
Yeah.
And here's the thing: I have people tell me it's like all the time. It's like, oh my god, before I started doing Bellatrix, everybody's like, you should pick a Helena Bonham Carter character and be her, and because you look so. I'm like, I don't see it. I don't see it at all. And
Aw.
yeah, it's just kind of one of those things. It's like everybody tells me this, and I'm like, what? No, I don't. No, I don't look like her. I don't know where you're getting that from.
Yes, you do.
But
when you're looking in the mirror, you're not going to see it. Like that's.
I know. I see plain old D'Elle. I see
Well-
plain old boring D'Elle that's getting ready to go to work. in the
D'Elle
morning,
is
so.
stunning.
You know, just like when we look at ourselves in cosplay, another psychological thing, we might not think we look that great. We might go,
Yes.
why did I think this was a good costume? When you have other people that are over here going, you know, looking at you like,
All
oh my
the
goodness.
time.
You know, we have, like you said, it's imposter syndrome. Am I really any good at this? Should I continue? Will anybody like it? And then you have people following you around.
Well, and I am that person that 9 times out of 10, I'm developing a costume or cosplay, and I am putting it together, and I am not going to put it on until the night before.
Yeah,
I
don't put it on.
am
do that a
not.
lot.
Yeah, I am not trying. It's like I am putting everything together. It's like I have a cohesive design. I know exactly what I'm going to do. The very first version of Ronald McDonald or Ronnie that I did was this giant
Yes.
floofy dress, and
There's-
it was so not this version. It was, you know,
Yeah, you can send the other one, really.
Yeah,
It was so
giant
cute,
floofy
though.
dress. Yeah, it was fun, but it was not exactly what I wanted. When Lauren put hers together, you know, she was Wendy from Wendy's, and we had, you know, she had the same kind of vibe and everything, and I'm like, we match, but it really wasn't the vision that I had. And so when I got this set together and started putting it together, it's like I didn't put anything on until I think the day before I was supposed to be at the con. And so I throw it all together. I think it might have actually been in a suitcase, and it's like either it's going to work or it's not. I don't know. Because I mean, it's like I'm not even in Memphis, so if it doesn't work, I don't know what I'm going to do, but we'll figure it out. I think I had like the other version kind of with me just in case, and I threw this on. I'm like, that works. I like this.
Yeah.
This is fun. So, you know, I don't even, I'm like instant gratification. I am that person.
Yeah.
So my
yeah.
design technique is like, I don't want to see the entire thing until it's ready to roll.
Yeah,
Because then I'm
most
like,
of my costumes, until the first time I have worn it out on a con floor or a volunteer event, I didn't know if it was going to work. Didn't know if I was actually going to look like the character or not. And then I put it on. I'm like, okay, we actually did pretty good, guys.
You two are making me feel so validated because that's how I do things too.
Oh,
I thought it was crazy. I mean, I am, but
you
we're all
know,
crazy
one
together.
of my favorite cosplayers that I'm determined to get on the show one day is Joshua Duarte, Artemistic. They just finished their Ghost Agatha from Agatha All Along for Dragon Con. Finished it Thursday night before going to Dragon Con. So we're not the only ones doing that.
Well, and honestly, I think one of the issues that we run into, so we talked a lot about the positive aspects of it, and we have kind of touched on some of the more negative things, but one of the things that we don't think about is the unrealistic deadlines that cause stress and anxiety.
I don't crunch anymore.
Oh yeah. And for the most part, I am the person who plans. I'm very intricate in my planning, my production. And I have an entire system, but when it comes to cosplay and cons, it's like everything is very last minute. Everything is I'm not going to put it on until the night before, because if I try it on beforehand, I'm going to hate it. It's it's a mental thing that I have to overcome. And, and I also realize that a lot of times it's a work in progress. So, when I originally started doing Bellatrix, Bellatrix was a lot less put together than the version that everybody sees now. And also the character itself, the development of that character was very different than what people see now. I have a couple of cosplays that I do on a regular basis, Cruella de Vil. And I end up finding like multiple versions depending on the event that I'm going to. I have the more pinup version of it. I do believe that, when we talk about the communities and we talk about the intricacies that go into developing these communities can also falter. And there are times that we get actively involved in a community. I found this with the pirates, with the pirate community. I loved pirating. Do not get me wrong. I still have a couple of kits. My kits are everything from kid-friendly to very not kid-friendly. I have found that the pirate community overall, or at least the initial community that I was involved with, was very toxic. There was, so I think when we talk about cosplay, we talk about conventions, and we talk about the psychology. One of the things that I think is a disservice that we don't talk about is why people step away, why people leave the cosplay community, why we decide, I don't want to be part of this. I don't want to be part of this con anymore. I don't want to be part of the conventions anymore. And I think that a lot of times when we start talking about community, we start talking about the toxicity of it. And sometimes we don't want to talk bad about people. We don't want to talk bad about communities. And I'm absolutely generally for that. I know that we have kind of touched on cons being toxic in the past. And certain conventions, and if this is presented, don't do this. This is not the way that this is supposed to work. But when you think about the specific communities as a whole, so I was very active in the pirate community, brought my husband in. My husband was very deeply connected with the pirate captain at the time, actually considered to be close friends. And he turned on him so quickly, wanting to say that he was the reason that the community was falling apart, because other people within the community were going to him as being a level-headed thinker and saying, I have problems with this, that, and the other. And he's trying to come up with ideas and field those complaints. And, he's trying to be very neutral about it, but it turned into a very negative experience.
So they kind of went pirate on him and stabbed him in the back, basically.
Absolutely. We decided at that point to separate from the pirate community overall. And I think, honestly, Lauren had already, because Lauren and I were in the pirate community together, and I think she'd already kind of stepped away at that point. And then we decided to be part of a local pirate band. Sounds like a whole lot of fun until you realize there are two totally different mindsets when it comes to being a pirate in the pirate community. You have those who are interested in talking about the golden age of piracy and the education aspect of it, going to museums, going to libraries, going to schools, and being very active in the community. And I'm all for that. I think that's a lot of fun. I did a lot of that. But also you have those that are a bit more adult oriented. And I like that a whole lot as well. But there are people within the pirate community that think that they are pirates and they want to drink rum all the time. And, that causes a lot of, when you realize that there are people within the group in the community that you're interacting with that are to that extreme, it causes a lot of issues. So, we separated away from the pirate community initially. We rolled off a second grouping of pirates that was more education driven, was more special event driven. And that was a whole lot of fun. And then there was another third group that is still active. You can actually find, so there's a third group called Pirate Blades, which was Angel and Ava, and that they do all the sword fighting and everything. And they're amazing to watch. And just, they're so much fun and they're so entertaining. So you ended up, it fractured into 3 different categories. And at some point, some of us were like, I just want to be part of the band. I'm gonna stand back here and I'm gonna be part of the band. And then you start to realize that even that, you have all of these interactions that become very toxic, and you're like, I can't do this for my own personal well-being. I love a good glass of wine, but I was also noticing that when I was going and doing these events and I was hanging out with the ones who are more true pirates that are drinking and, carousing and having a good old time, that I wanted to do the same thing. And, there were times where I'm like, I probably shouldn't steal this bicycle ship car thing and pedal it away. I should not, drink an entire bottle of rum and think that I can stand up. There's, so, that person, that interaction kind of rubs off on you as well. And that creates a bit of a toxic vibe.
Destructive.
Yeah. And also with the pirate, or not with the pirate, but with my cosplay community. So the first grouping of friends that I got involved in, and they were pirating, but they were also cosplaying as well. What I found is that there were particular people within my original cosplay family that wanted to not be part of the other cosplay community. It's like they wanted, and I don't want to sound weird about this, but they wanted me for themselves.
Yeah.
And them, it was basically just us and them. And they didn't want anybody else to interact and anybody else involved. And to the point that it became also, once again, very, very negative, very toxic. And it caused me to pull away from the community, but also start avoiding that person and that in general. So it took me a little while to kind of get back into it. But I have generally found the things that make me want to step away are the community itself and how we kind of sometimes implode upon one another. And I think that a lot of times that's jealousy. And I'm glad to be in a con community now, in a con family where jealousy does not run rampant. Everybody is uplifting one another and being very supportive and being very positive. Mm-hmm. And I think that we've all had.
And I used to do mostly cons out of town because the Memphis community, whatever I was here, was pretty bad. And my friend Kay looked at me and said, "It's jealousy. You've been doing this longer, and they don't want to see that you're being friendly and willing to share because they're mad that you're where you're at and they're not there yet." Then I joined Cosplay Memphis, and that kind of flipped a lot of the negativity to the positive.
Yes.
And then getting into the con family we have now. And, we're all constantly, "Oh my God, you look amazing. I don't care if you're screen accurate. That's what you wanted to go for it. I love screen accuracy for most things, but at the same time, I've seen a lot of people that get so toxic, like you said, over you not being their vision of what a cosplay is supposed to be.
Or also, a lot of times when you are in the same cosplay that somebody else is in, whether yours is better or not, I have had that experience where somebody wearing the exact same cosplay that I will not, I'm like running and I'm going, "I want a picture," and they're running away going, "I don't see you. I don't see you."
I hate that attitude. The first cosplay community I was in, people were like that, and they were also so it was very superhero focused, and they were very, very obsessed with looking ripped from the pages to the point that they were peddling starvation diets. Like there was someone who was not a dietitian who was going around trying to get people to pay him to be a nutritionist, and the diets he was coaching them on were 600 calories a day.
Good Lord. Ooh, okay.
This man was going to kill someone.
Yeah, definitely.
And then it was paired with an exercise routine that was like no rest.
It's different. Like I started exercising again because I wanted to feel better in my costumes. And my youngest brother jokingly calls going to the gym working on cosplay for the day he does his Namor just in the Speedo costume. Someday that's going to happen. My brother will step on a con floor just in a Speedo. We'll document it because it will be hilarious. But,
I'm there for that.
To say that you have to be a certain body type to be a character, that's why because I started when I was a size 2. I was a skinny rail when I started cosplaying. I sit firmly now at a 12, 14. And, I'm not plus size, but to a lot of people that aren't in the cosplay community, especially the outsider, I'm a plus size cosplayer.
Yeah.
And a lot of it is the outside community looking in and their idea of what a cosplayer, especially a cosplay girl, is supposed to be.
Well,
I'm bigger than you, Andrea, so I am plus size.
Yeah.
And like,
I just want to make the costumes fit me.
Here's the thing. I don't look at either one of you and go, you're plus size, or you're skinny, you're plus size. I don't look at that. I just look at that and say, you're an amazing person, an amazing cosplayer. You're beautiful in what you do. And as long as you are comfortable in your skin, and you should be 100%, because both of you are amazing. You are both beautiful. You are both fabulous. And you should be 100% just comfortable in your skin, knowing that. But not all of it, but not everybody is. And I get that. It's taken me
sometimes.
Absolutely. It's taken me a very, very long time to get comfortable in my skin. And now as I approach, I don't want to say, but well into my 50s.
She's a mature lady.
Rapidly approaching 60. And start realizing that it's like, all of the other issues that we never think about. It's like, I'm looking at my neck now going, oh my God, what the hell? I'm going to fix that.
I do that here.
I'm like, can I? But, we are never, I come to the realization that we put ourselves out there. We put ourselves in these amazing costumes. We make ourselves over. And, for all practical purposes, I have never met a cosplayer that I look at and go, ew, y'all don't look good. You look gross. Right. I have never met a cosplayer that I think looks bad. I have met people that I can tell immediately that they are not comfortable in what they're wearing. But, it's not that I think that they look bad in what they're wearing. It's that the confidence is not there. And, as we progress, it's like, okay, yeah, I have gone on the diet. I have lost weight recently. And now I can find another whole set of issues that I have to deal with. And it's like, oh my God, my skin doesn't hang like it's supposed to anymore. And my boobs aren't where they should be. And, what can I do to fix all that shit? Pardon my French, but, but a part of that is also that we are so actively trolled by people within the community and outside the community. Most of the time outside of the community. There are so many people who come to these events just to rip apart the people that they see.
Yeah, like those TikTok and Instagram and Facebook and YouTube compilations of cosplay fails. And, if somebody does something you don't like, it's like anything else. Move on.
Absolutely.
And I think you talk about like people being uncomfortable in the costume also comes from feeling like they need to cosplay whatever is the most popular right now.
Yeah.
And I want to do, because I have fallen onto the K-pop Demon Hunters bandwagon. I am not going to lie.
It's great.
Love it. And like, I've been talking with some friends about doing it. I want to be Mira, but I'm like, look, I'm not comfortable with a midriff top anymore. But I'm like, if I lengthen the top, because the skirts are fairly high-waisted, it will still look like her, but it'll be to my comfort level. But you have people that put them on because they are determined to be accurate and look just like the character. And then they're over here the whole time doing stuff like this, to hide their stomachs. Make the costume to fit you, not you to fit the costume.
Absolutely.
It's mostly prevalent in women, but the male cosplayers get it too. When they're the superheroes, everybody expects to be
guys beating themselves up. And so, a couple things. First of all, I am not comfortable in my skin all the time, but
no, I don't think any of us are.
Here's the thing. My body is just a canvas I paint on. It doesn't matter.
Yep.
And the people who are making those bad comments, at this point, I just feel sorry for them. Because how sad to not have enough joy in your life that's what you do, that you're just tearing down people who are having fun. Because when I go out, even if I look fat, I'm having fun in my costume. Yeah. Like when I'm rolling out in my black corset and leather leggings, yeah, maybe I do look fat. I'm having a blast with my friends. Who
that's
cares?
what this is
That's what
supposed to
matters.
be, and people forget that. They forget that there is the word play in cosplay. We're supposed to be having fun. We're supposed to be
Yep.
people enjoying a hobby, connecting with people that like the same things as us, and just letting go of all of the stress of real life for a little while.
Absolutely.
I think they forget that because it's become such a competition to be the first to do something, to be the best to do something, to win the awards, to be the one that everybody wants to stop and take the pictures. Yes, we all want all of that. But don't forget the joy that goes into dressing up as characters you love.
Here's the thing. I don't know about you, but yes, I do get invited to go to cons and be a guest. I do a lot of times have my, or pretty much all the time, because I'm not going to go if my table's not comped.
Yes.
I, as a guest, I expect that. I do not come anywhere near recouping the cost of what I have put into the cosplays and put in to the effort that goes into this. So this is a hobby. This is a hobby that eventually I hope gets me into doors here and there and allows me to have fun. If I am no longer having fun, it's not something that I want to do. One of the things that I have encountered very recently, and Andrea being in this area, I think that you can probably attest to this. We do the same conventions over and over. And sometimes we burn ourselves out because we spend so much time. I know that there are, not this past couple of years, but like in previous years, there were cons, or there were years that I was at a con every weekend. And I barely had time for like my own personal life. And I'm very fortunate that my husband and my youngest daughter, who lives at home with me, was at that point enjoying them.
Yeah.
One of the things that I've run into recently is that my youngest child, who grew up in cons and at one point was very big into cosplay and actively cosplaying, has decided that this is really not her vibe anymore. And so I'm like, you know what, that's fine. If you want to do something different, I absolutely understand it, because if you feel like you need to explain away your hobby when you meet people and interact with your friends in a professional environment, I don't ever fly my freak flag until I have been there for a very, very long time. And generally just a handful of people know exactly what it is that I do. Because I don't always feel like explaining. It's like, oh, you go to conventions and dress up as these characters? I'm like, well, yes, but I also do a lot of other things in addition to that, in these costumes and these characters. We have done the hospital visits. We have done the children's birthday parties. I've done literary events. I have done library events. I have done, it's like when I think about all of the things that I've done and all of these charitable organizations that I have been associated with, I'm like, there's an element of me that just takes a lot of pride, and I'm very happy that I've been able to do that. But there's people in my life that don't really fully understand that. And so there is an element that you have to explain away. So one of the things that I'm running into is that I'm going to conventions, and I'm getting about getting 2 years at a specific convention. A lot of times I love the convention the first couple of years, and the third year I'm like going, oh, that was awful. And a lot of it is awful because I'm seeing the exact same thing. It is like there's no variance between what happened the last 2 years and this year, other than maybe a couple of guests here and there. But I mean, when you walk across one of my absolute favorite conventions, and I'm not going to call names, but it is horror related. I ran into that this year. I had a lot of bad stuff that was going on because of an injury and everything, but I walked out onto the con floor and I look around and I'm like, I've seen all of this. I walk back and I look at the guests and I'm like, okay, so the couple of guests that I want to meet that are new, yeah, I'm scheduled to meet them, but I'm even looking at this going, I've met him, I've met him, I've met her, I've met him. Yeah. And I'm like, it's the same thing. And I have just spent a ton of money to be there. So what I am finding is that I'm getting about 2 rotations under my belt, and then the third one is very dissatisfying. I'm not enjoying it as much.
I think
So
with a lot of these smaller local cons that aren't run, either by big corporations or aren't cons that have been going for, 20 plus years, they're run by people that's not what they do professionally, and they're so stuck in their ways, and some of them will not take advice, not even criticism, but advice or an offer to help to give you something new.
absolutely.
And then you have everybody going, oh, well, I'm just not going to go next year. But on the flip side of that are the people that go, that's a new con, I'll wait till next year. And then next year doesn't happen because nobody supported what would have been an amazing convention. So, you can't go, I'll wait and see, because you might not get to see.
Absolutely. There was a convention, I think, that went on. So basically, I had to pick and choose, and I chose this particular horror convention. And there was another local convention. It was the MegaCon.
Yeah.
And I heard
So much potential.
it was, and there was so much potential. It had amazing guests. It had, everything was there.
The venue was great. I heard the people that ran the venue are kind of hard to work with. Venue itself, fantastic. Setup was great.
The attendance, though, was low. And if people aren't there supporting that convention, the possibility of them returning is another thing.
And they don't understand how much money these convention runners that are not a company are putting in.
It's
because
expensive.
They have to pay their guests. They have to pay for the venue. It's not like they invite these guests and all they do is they fly in and the money they make is off their autographs. No, they have to be paid by the convention first and have their flight and their rooms, all of that comped. It's not cheap, folks.
No.
$40 for 2 days is not paying for much. It's really not.
And I am a firm believer that you have to spend money to make money. I have worked in fundraising. I have done event coordination for years and years. And I also realize that if you do the same thing over and over and over again, eventually people are going to get tired of it and it's going to slack off. The best event.
That's the case, but it's been bought out. So we'll see how next year goes.
Yeah, one of the biggest money-making events that I was associated with when in the previous job that I worked with, 1 year I had $90,000 in cash in my hand at the end of the night, and the next year we didn't sell enough tables to make it worthwhile because we had done it so many times, and people were like, "Oh, been there, done that." So, we understand that you have to have something fresh. You have to have something new. Otherwise, you're going to lose the pool. And one of the things that I have run, so my daughter still wants to do some weird and creepy stuff, and she wants to to go to these festivals. Although I do believe that there's an element of neurodivergence in like large groups of people do kind of stress her out. I have seen her at events where she looks like she's in full panic mode. Yeah. But like right now, she's like, I want to go to the Mothman Festival. I want to go. So I think what we're going to do to try to offset the con life, because it is a lifestyle. You are at an event almost every weekend, and then you start to realize it's like, oh, okay, I have family events that are coming up. I have family things that are happening, and it's like, okay, I have to schedule that around. I kid you not, my mother passed, and we did her funeral, and I was scheduled to be her funeral. I think it was on like a Thursday. I was scheduled to be at a con that next Saturday.
Oh my god!
And
I
was a guest
at Target after the funeral. You came in.
I was a basket case.
I'm so sorry.
I saw you a couple days later at the con.
Yeah, I was an absolute.
I saw you those 2 days apart.
And you're sitting there and you're just like going, oh my gosh, it's like I am dealing with this deep family issue, but I've made this commitment, and it's like I'm still dealing with all of this, and now I have to smile and wave and be
put
this
on the princess face.
Put on the princess face, because if you're at a booth and I think I was actually I think we had interviewed Lauren and I were interviewing Creek at that event, and you're just sitting there going, oh my gosh, I have to put on this happy, friendly face. And, my life has just crumbled.
Yeah.
And, absolutely, you don't realize I've already made that commitment. And yes, I probably could have contacted them and said, hey, I can't do this.
And they would have
There's,
been like, okay, cool.
oh,
Most of them are
absolutely.
cool like that.
Yeah. And I think that was Covington, and Josh
It
was,
was.
super
I remember
easy.
that.
Yeah.
And it was a
Josh
pretty chill
is
con, at least.
super, super easy to work with when it comes to those type of issues and stuff. He would have understood, but I had already committed myself. I had already committed Lauren. Nobody saw all this. We knew it was coming, but we didn't know it was coming then. So, and there's also an element of me that it's just like, I'm glad I got to step back into my real life very quickly, because if I would have stayed home, I would have just been at home and depressed. So, that did give me an element of relief, but, you're also, now I have switched gears and I am on as the character version of me, not the everyday version of me that everybody gets to.
It is a bit of therapy, because
Absolutely.
But at the same time, you then have to, in the back of your head, like you said, your mom had just passed, you're going, I am Morticia Adams today. And in your head, you're going, but my mom is gone now, and it hits you. And you can literally be, even when you're not having anything like immediate having happened, sometimes those thoughts hit you and you're like on a con floor, and like, I'll do this because, it's been 5 years since my dad passed, and I'll see something like a character or do something or see my brother selling his artwork at a con, and it'll just hit me and go, Dad would have loved this. And then I'm like, and then I have to put on the happy face because I'm the cosplay guest and everybody's coming to ask me questions about contests and this and that. And for some reason, why are the cosplay guests always the information booth? Why do they come to us asking us for all of the con information?
Because we generally know, and there is an element of planning. Because when you think about being the cosplay guest, not only are we there as a cosplay guest, but a lot of times we are hosting specific events. We're on panels. We do provide, we are an outlet for information. And absolutely 100%, it was therapy for me. Being able to separate from this horrible thing that had happened and being able to put on this character and step out on the floor and see my friends, and most of my friends knew what was going on, and they were super supportive, and they were super everybody was just like, I'm so sorry, but I'm glad you're here, I'm happy to see you here. And everybody was so supportive of me. I have a lot of different outlets when it comes to creativity. Cosplay is in creation. That is one element. Music is probably my biggest absolute therapy outlet. And, when I'm not actively performing, I'm not actively either in a band or in a duo or something like that, I miss it and it breaks my heart. And then, I hear something, right now, my husband and I are working on new music. And we're trying to put some, I'm excited about it. But, we're trying to put something together now. And, we've got stuff ready to roll. And I'm just like, okay, now I need a band. When I say I need a band, I need a guitarist because I pretty much have everything else. I just need a guitarist, and I need to be out there and performing and practicing, and I need to have that outlet because it is one of my many, many creative outlets. It is probably my most dynamic, believe it or not, creative outlet because, when you get to not only write music, but you get to perform music, and then you're like, you have recordings and you're like, this is mine. Oh my gosh. I will die and this will live on, hopefully. You get excited because, that now it's a legacy.
You have missed out.
I've got to
hear it both. I've heard it both recording and live. So.
Some of the recordings probably not the best, but there are a few that are out there that I'm super, super proud of.
There's some really good ones out there.
Yeah. But yeah, so absolutely, I love it. And I miss it, and I'm ready to get back into it. So,
good. We missed your voice.
But yeah, I think that anytime you talk about the psychology of cosplay, when you talk about the reasons that we get into it, but you also have to talk about what drives us away. But yeah, I think that we're going to start doing we're going to spend a year at a con. We're going to spend a year doing, we're going to spend a year doing something different festival wise. And I mean, I'm sure they'll mix and match, but absolutely.
James.
I just read the comment.
Oh, I am so sorry.
Yeah, so James is just saying he knows the feeling for anyone just listening and not watching, because Ace in 2024, on his way, he got the call that his dad passed, and he was cosplaying John Wick and scheduled for a shoot, and won't ever forget that feeling. James, yeah, that was a hard year for you. Like, oh.
And a lot of times when you have that, it's just like it just keeps rolling. It's like over the last couple of years, it's like you have one family member, then another family member, then another family member. It just keeps rolling one out.
You just keep happening. Bad
absolutely things. You get to a certain age and you realize that the people around you are not going to live forever.
Oh no, that's what we said at my grandfather's funeral, because he was nearly 97, and we're looking around like there's not very many people here. My brother goes, "That's because he outlived them all." We're like,
"Oh,
yeah, makes sense." Like, yeah.
My grandmother was also in her 90s, and both of my parents were well into their 80s. So, I look at them and realize I'm like, you live very, very long lives. That's very fortunate. But it is, I can honestly say that following the loss, I lost my father during COVID, so we weren't necessarily actively out and about. But with the loss of my mother, having the cosplay therapy, being able to spend time with my convention family, and being able to be active and about really was like therapy for me. And I'm so appreciative of the people who were there and supported me during that entire time. And, I just hope that, when other people experience those type situations, that you have the same support, love of a community that I had, because it was absolutely just amazing realizing the outpouring of love that I saw at just about every event coming and going.
I lost my dad during COVID like you did. And the one thing that did get me through was because he loved my volunteer work. I was doing a lot of those birthday videos for the Operation Birthday Rescue that Facebook had. And literally the day after my dad passed away, I'm sitting in my bedroom at my friend's house, because I had just, my house had burned down the previous months before that. I'm sitting in there recording birthday videos for kids, because I said, Dad wouldn't have wanted me to quit. No. He would have wanted me to keep going. And so for a while, they were, from my own mental perspective, for my dad. Mm-hmm. And, I look at it that way. I'm like, he wouldn't have wanted me to stop doing the things I loved. It was harder because it was during COVID, so I couldn't go out to cons. So I put on a costume, I put on a happy face, and I wish these kids happy birthday because they could not celebrate. So it was still therapeutic. And like, people don't realize what, like you said at the very beginning, the dopamine that it can give you to
absolutely
help you get through so much. It was literally my 2020 therapy doing those videos, because as I said, my house burned down in March of 2020 and my dad passed away August of that year. So that's also when I kind of connected with Kelly when she did her first online convention. And then the following year, she asked if I wanted to start this lovely podcast, which right around this time is our 4th anniversary.
That's right. Happy anniversary.
We started right after I moved into my house, because last Sunday was 4 years since I moved into my house. And the following week, we had Robin on for the first time.
That's right. Yes, September is our 4-year anniversary. So happy anniversary. I cannot think of a better way to celebrate our anniversary than to have ice cream queens.
Well, and it's funny because when you think about that, when you think about our anniversaries, because we all got started with the podcast all about the same time. Ice cream queens. I don't know which one was first, if it was Ice Cream Queens or Cosplay Cafe, but we all hit about the same time.
Right before us?
I think you were right before us. And
because we met at the first Covington Con.
With
all of us there, you, me, Lauren, we were all there to start making promotions for it.
Yeah, you were definitely before us. Now I remember, because I pitched it to Johnny after you had started your show.
But I do really, I mean, it was all like, I mean,
Boom, 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 boom.
boom, 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 boom. We were all there and we were all there together. And, you know, I look back and I'm like, it's been 4 years and this is still the absolute best group of people I have ever been associated with. And it makes me, Kelly, I got the chance to meet you in person at Mid-South Con.
Yes.
Yeah.
You and Crayley.
2022.
Yeah, that was absolutely amazing. It was so much fun. And then I met and started interacting with Andrea on a regular basis. And now she's just, I mean, if we're not set up next to Andrea, I'm like, what's wrong? You need
Where's
to move
my
us.
wife?
I know.
Let me complain.
Yeah, I'm going to complain. Set me up next to
We
Andrea.
sound like the weirdest polygamists, though, because we're always like, "Where's my girlfriend? Where's my
I
girlfriend?"
know. I know. And you know, honestly, I think I have actually like walked around the con and looked before because, you know, a lot of times we're coming in from out of town and I'm like, are we not next to Andrea? Can we move? Can you put us next to Andrea? I'm
like you don't understand. Like when we were all still on the Cereal Box Network, we started joking. Me and the Geek Gumshoe, we were joking at Corinth one time that we were all in one place. I said, "This is the pantry." We were part of the Cereal Box Network.
Yes.
We were
Absolutely.
the pantry. So
absolutely.
you know, it literally this has been. It was so. First off, I was very flattered that Kelly wanted me to be part of it, even though we had not met face to face until also Mid-South Con.
Yes.
But she wanted me to be part of it, and that was like one of the most flattering things, that somebody thought that I was good enough and cool enough to do a podcast with them about this. And 4 years later, like I said, if one person watches, if 100 people watch, it's still fun. It is still an outlet.
Absolutely.
It's gotten me through some of the ups and downs, and the people, once again, the friends that I have made through this got me through, you know, mom's cancer diagnosis and all of this crazy stuff that I've been through. So it's really the community, when it's the right community, it's awesome. Like to have the right community in this
makes the world of difference.
Your people, find your tribe. We will be part of your tribe if you need one.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And if we don't tolerate bullying or toxicity, that's all we don't take. That's it.
Yep.
We don't care what you look like, what you believe in, whatever.
Agreed.
Because we all believe something different. We all look different. We are all different people, and it is all of our differences that make us a community. Because if we were all the same person, what fun would that be?
Not very much fun.
Yeah, absolutely. It's all of the chaos and the crazy that comes with all of these unique personalities that makes it worthwhile, in my opinion. So
I love our chaotic con family.
I do too. It's so much fun.
Yes. And since we're way past our hour, D'Elle, I'm gonna give you the full screen. Yeah, it
was worth it.
It was worth it. But D'Elle, what advice would you give to someone who is just starting out cosplaying?
Do it. Take the leap, be confident in your abilities. Even if you are the person who's going to start out wearing that Halloween costume to a con, don't be at all nervous about it. Absolutely. Take that step and just do it. You're going to love your life. It's going to be so much fun. You're going to find like-minded people. You're going to find a community, and just enjoy it. Because, you know, we only get to live once. We only get to do this one time, and you know, make the best of it. I wish I would have started earlier, to be honest with you. I've had a blast doing this, and I plan to continue doing this for a long time to come, plus a lot of other things. So absolutely 100% take that step and do it. And don't let what other people, especially, I hate to use this phrase, normies, don't let what the normies are going to think impact what you want to do, especially if it's something that you love.
Wonderful advice. And where can people find you?
Yeah. So I'm on Instagram. I'm really not a lot of places at the moment. I've kind of been on hiatus. So I am getting ready to be at a couple of events. So you can find me at the West Tennessee Comic-Con coming up in Jackson. I will be there with. I know. Stop! Look, you're making that crying face because I know you're not going to be there, and it's breaking my heart.
My nephew didn't consult me on when he should have put his wedding.
Rude.
But,
very rude.
you know, I will be there. Lauren and I will both be hosting along with Geek Gum Show, we're going to be hosting a panel on Dark Disney. Those of you who have seen the Dark Disney panel, this is going to cover some different stuff. Every time we do the Dark Disney panel, we cover something totally different. So this one might lean a bit more into true crime. So, and yes, that happens.
Somebody record it for me.
Absolutely. But yes, so I will be there. I'm doing a lot of family stuff in between, but I'm also planning to be at Memphis Monster Con. I think that those are the 2 cons that I am planning to attend the latter half of this year. I don't have a whole lot on my schedule just because family, and I needed a wee bit of a break. So
Fair.
yeah, so hopefully I'm going to get back into the swing of things early next year, but there's also a wedding in our future. My oldest child is getting married, and we're so excited. So that will be like the end of 2026. So you'll see me at the beginning of the year, but you might not see me at the end of the year. So very limited rotation. You can find me on Instagram. You can find me on the Facey Space. You can somewhat find me on TikTok. I am not consistent in social media right now, so don't come at me if you're not seeing new posts, because you know it happens. I do know that there are a couple of different projects that we will be also working on, hopefully something musical, and I'm hoping that Lauren and we have a couple of irons in the fire and some things that we're working on, and we're hoping to get those up and running now that maybe life has settled down. I need to reach back out to her and talk to her and make sure her life is settled down. But now, hopefully, life is settling down and we can start looking at getting back on track. So hopefully you will be seeing a bit more of us in the podcast circus again. Circuit, not circus. Circus,
It's a
circuit.
circus. It's fine.
It's the same
circus.
thing. It's
Yeah.
the same thing.
Yeah.
Andrea?
And mostly, my posting has been not as common lately because of all the stuff going on, but mostly Instagram, Media Rice Cosplay, Blue Sky. I don't really use my Facebook much, but you can look me up with my real name. Like some of our other guests said, if you say you saw me through the Cosplay Cafe, I'm more likely to friend you because I might look at that and go, I don't know that person.
Oh.
So, and then con wise, I know I have Memphis Comic and Fantasy Con. I'm running the cosplay contest there in November. And I got a lot of volunteer stuff in October for spooky season. But other than that, we love spooky season volunteer work.
We do. I have a lot of friends that are getting married and a lot of things that are going on. So my spooky season's even off this year.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. But
How
I
dare
get
they?
to see amazing people get married. So yay.
James is correct. Normies will never get it and tend to misunderstand the hobby in itself. And James, I'm
Yes.
sorry we didn't get to all your comments. We had a lot to say. So I can be found at Phoenix's Entertainment pretty much everywhere. Crayley and I have not been consistent in posting this year because she's been home with little baby Banana Loaf, and I've been
Banana Loaf.
That little loaf.
That is baby's stage name for now. I've been busy doing other things. Like one of the things is I've been social media manager for ChizuCon, which is coming up next week. So I'll be running around ChizuCon, live streaming stuff, and I will be original Laura Croft with everything that entails.
Woo! Boxy boobs.
Yep. I'm gonna be true.
Square? Are you going to be cubed?
Triangle. Triangle boobs.
Love it.
Okay.
Love it.
I'm super excited. Like
I can't wait.
Super excited. And I'm gonna do pixelated makeup. It's gonna be so fun. And then
Amazing.
the week after that, Curly and I are gonna be guests at SoCon. So talk about a con every week.
And a podcast with Lauren on that same weekend too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna be judging a cosplay contest closer to home at Dragon Ball Con in October, October 4th. So I'm busy. Please come see me at any of those.
2026 is going to be the year we all get a little more consistent.
Nah.
Prayerfully.
You're very funny. D'Elle, thank you.
I'm trying to be optimistic.
Thank you for being on this episode. Thank you
Thank
all
you for having
tuning
me.
in. We love you all and
Yay.
have a great start to spooky season.
Have a good night.
Hey, everybody. I'm George.
I'm Seth.
And we are the hosts for the Fanatic Forum, the podcast that is all things geek. We talk about anything you could possibly imagine.
We talk books, comic books, video games, wrestling, BattleTech, fan theories, that how they relate to Warhammer and Godzilla fan fiction. We go off on long, bizarre tangents that don't necessarily mean anything. We have theme nights for a very interactive show. Tell them, George.
Extremely interactive. I mean, you've got to check us out live. We are 8 p.m. Eastern on Facebook and on YouTube. And if you can't catch us live, you can always check us out on Spotify. Be there or be square, baby.